Dengue fever. Dengue fever is also known as break-bone fever. It is a communicable disease caused by arthropod-borne virus known as dengue virus, categorized into 4 types: 1, 2, 3, and 4. It is characterized by biphasic fever, myalgia, arthralgia, rash, leukopenia, and lymphadenopathy, which is generalized lymphadenopathy. Dengue virus, hemorrhagic fever. It is a severe and often fatal febrile disease caused by dengue virus, characterized by increased capillary permeability, abnormalities of homeostasis, and in severe cases, protein losing shock syndrome. Like it is called as dengue shock syndrome. Epidemiology. About 50 to 100 million cases annually worldwide are reported for the dengue. Around 5 lakh require hospitalization annually. A large proportion of it are children, and about 2.5% of affected are die. Incidence of are highest in tropical and subtropical regions like in Asia, Southeast Asia, several southern and central Pacific countries, and the America. In India, first outbreak of dengue was recorded in 1812. Dengue is no longer restricted to urban centers, with outbreaks now occurring in rural India also. Although dengue has predominantly a disease of children, it now affects all age groups worldwide. In India, approximately 20% of cases had occurred in infants. Etiology. It is a Falciparum family. So, other viruses of Falciparum family are Toga virus, which also causes chikungunya, and Falcivirus, which causes this dengue. Dengue virus causes dengue and dengue hemorrhagic fever. It is an arbovirus transmitted by mosquitoes, composed of single stranded RNA, has 4 serotypes, then 1, 2, 3, 4, which are genetically and antigenetically different. Infection with one serotype produces lifelong immunity to that particular serotype only. All serotypes can cause severe and fatal disease. Genetic variation within the serotypes are there. Some genetic variants within each serotype appear to be more virulent or have greater epidemic potential. In a study conducted in India during an outbreak, phylogenetic analysis revealed that Indian dengue 4 isolates belong to genotype 1. This study clearly indicated the sudden dominance of dengue 4 in Indian dengue outbreak. Orissa state in eastern India reported the first dengue outbreak in 2010, followed by extensive outbreaks in 2011, affecting large number of people. Phylogenetic analysis revealed the circulation of Indian lesions of DAN2 genotype 4 and DAN3 genotype 3 in vectors and patient serum in Orissa from 2010 to 2011, DANV2 being a prevailing serotype. Concurrent infection with the chikungunya has also been reported in India. The vector. Dengue is transmitted by mosquitoes. Aedes aegypti is the commonest mosquitoes. This is a picture of that Aedes aegypti mosquito, the most common epidemic vector in dengue in world. It can be identified by the white bands or scales patterns on the leg and thorax. So it is called as tiger mosquito also. Dengue is transmitted by infected female mosquito only, primarily a daytime bite feeder, lives around human habitat, lays egg and produces larvae, preferentially in the artificial containers, especially in the clean water. Usually breed in stagnant water, active in dark or shaded places, outdoor, but indoor activity is also possible. They are most active 2 hours before sunset, around 5 to 6 p.m. and at around 8 to 9 a.m. The transmission cycle of dengue virus by the mosquito Aedes aegypti begins with the dengue infected person. During viremic period in human, an uninfected female Aedes aegypti mosquito bites the person and ingests blood that contains dengue virus. Mosquitoes are only infected by biting a viremic person. Then within the mosquito, the virus replicates during an extrinsic incubation period of 8 to 12 days. Bites are susceptible person and transmit the virus to him or her. Virus replicates in the second person and produce symptoms. The symptoms begin to appear in an average 4 to 7 days after the mosquito bite. This is the intrinsic incubation period within the human. While the intrinsic incubation period averages from 4 to 7 days, the viremia begins slightly before the onset of symptoms. Infected mosquito in extrinsic incubation period after 8 to 12 days replicate the virus after biting infected person. After 8 to 12 days of extrinsic incubation period, while the viruses are present in the mosquito, it bites to the healthy person, an intrinsic incubation period will start of 8 to 12 days where the replication of the viruses are occur. Incubation period is most commonly 4 to 7 days for the healthy person, and then infected person their viremic phase will begin. Mosquito feeds, acquires the virus, extrinsic incubation period, and then viremia occur. After extrinsic incubation period, it bites the healthy person where intrinsic incubation period starts, where mosquito transmit the virus. Pathogenesis. Several theories seek to explain the pathogenesis, including immune enhancement hypothesis, the selection pressure hypothesis. The immune enhancement hypothesis proposed that patients with a second infection with heterologous dengue serotype have higher risk of developing severe dengue. The existing heterologous dengue antibody recognize the invading virus and establish an antigen antibody complex which binds to the Fc receptor on the cell membrane of leukocyte. Suppress the innate immunity. The virus freely replicates through antibody-dependent enhancement. Anti-dengue virus antibodies cross-react with the platelets, clotting factors, complement systems, and endothelial cells in humans, and also cause secretion of TNF, interleukin Y, and interleukin 6. Anti-NS1 antibody induce apoptosis in endothelial cells and increase vascular permeability, leading to hypovolemia and shock. This is the first theory. Second is the selection pressure hypothesis claims that dengue virus varies and mutates as a result of selection pressure as it replicates in the humans and or mosquitoes, especially dengue virus. Pathogenesis of dengue hemorrhagic fever, abnormal hemostasis. First is vasculopathy, thrombopathy with impaired platelet function and moderate to severe thrombocytopenia due to interaction of virus with replicates through IgM antiplatelet antibody. Coagulopathy with activation of coagulation and fibrinolysis. Later in severe disease, DIC, bone marrow depression, reduced megakaryocytic production mechanism, suppress megakaryocytosis and increased platelet clearance by DNB, induce apoptosis and antiplatelet antibodies. Dengue classification. Old one is WHO identified two types of dengue illness. One is dengue fever, a mild self-limiting febrile illness, and second, dengue hemorrhagic fever, potentially fatal condition, pathogenomized by leaky vasculopathy. Dengue hemorrhagic fever was further divided into 4 categories. Grade 1, thrombocytopenia, hemoconcentration, positive tourniquet test, and absence of spontaneous bleeding. Grade 2, thrombocytopenia, hemoconcentration, positive tourniquet test, and presence of spontaneous bleeding. Grade 3, all of above, and circular insufficiency or feeble pulse, drop of 20 mm of Hg of blood pressure or greater in arterial blood pressure, and cold extremities and apprehension. Grade 4, thrombocytopenia, positive tourniquet test, hemoconcentration, imperceptible pulse or blood pressure. New classification. Now dengue is classified in 3 categories. One is dengue with warning signs, and severe dengue. Clinical course of disease is divided in 3 phases: febrile, critical, and recovery phase. Clinical features. Dengue viruses cause symptomatic infection or asymptomatic seroconversion. The febrile phase can last for 2 to 7 days. A positive tourniquet test in this phase indicates an increased probability of dengue. Headache, retroorbital pain, myalgia, joint pain, nausea, and vomiting are there. Critical phase. Transition from febrile to afebrile phase. In this critical phase, usually there is no fever. Patient can either improve without going through the critical phase or may manifest with the warning signs. Patient condition become critical when the temperature drops to 37.5 to 38 degrees centigrade or less and remains below this level, usually on days 3 to 8 days of illness. Progressive leukopenia followed by rapid decrease in platelet count usually precedes plasma leakage. An increased hematocrit above the baseline may be one of the earliest additional signs. The period of clinically significant plasma leakage usually lasts for 24 to 48 hours. The degree of hemoconcentration above the baseline hematocrit reflects the severity of plasma leakage. Hemorrhagic manifestations such as easy bruising and bleeding at venipuncture sites can occur frequently. Warning signs of dengue: persistent vomiting, severe abdominal pain, increased liver size by more than equal to 2 cm, and a tender level is frequently observed. Decrease in platelet count to about 1 lakh cells per cubic millimeter and rising hematocrit above the baseline. Leukopenia, mucosal bleeding, fluid in the serous cavities, usually more than 2 serous cavities. Recovery phase. As the patient survives the 24 to 48 hours after critical phase, a gradually reabsorption of the extravascular compartment fluid takes place in the following 48 to 72 hours. General well-being improves, appetite returns, GI symptoms abate, hemodynamic states stabilize, and diuresis ensues. Some patients have confluent erythematous petechial rash with small areas of normal skin described as isles of white in a sea of red. The hematocrit stabilize or may be lower due to the diluent effect of reabsorbed fluid. Some may experience generalized pruritus, bradycardia during this stage. Respiratory distress from massive pleural effusion and ascites, pulmonary edema or congestive heart failure will occur during the critical or recovery phase if excessive intravenous fluid have been given during the recovery phase. Severe dengue. Severe dengue, a case of dengue, is defined as suspected dengue patient with one or more of the following: severe plasma leakage that leads to shock, dengue shock, and or fluid accumulation in cavities with the respiratory distress. Evidence of circulatory failure manifested indirectly by all of the following: rapid and weak pulse, narrow pulse pressure or hypotension for the age, cold and clammy extremities, and altered mental status. Severe bleeding. Skin hemorrhages, pateges, purpura, ecchymosis, gingival bleeding, nasal bleeding, GI bleeding, hematemesis, melena, hematochezia, hematuria, and increased menstrual flow. Severe organ impairment. In nervous system, there may be febrile seizures, dengue encephalopathy, hepatic encephalopathy, intracranial bleeding, acute disseminated encephalomyelitis, GBS, or delirium and depression. In CVS, there may be myocardial dysfunction, arrhythmias, pericardial effusion. In hematological system, disseminated DIC, infection associated with the hemophagocytosis, visceral bleeding, unusual hemorrhage. In hepatitis, ischemic hepatitis, fulminant hepatic failure, GI appendicitis, peritonitis, respiratory massive effusion, ARDS, pulmonary hemorrhage, transfusion-associated lung injury may occur. In kidney, acute kidney injury and co-infection with the other like chikungunya and enteric fever can occur. Differential diagnosis. Dengue-like disease, viral, respiratory and influenza-like disease, early stage of malaria, mild yellow fever or stroke typhus, and viral hepatitis. Laboratory diagnosis. Diagnosis of dengue infection, antibody detection by IgG, IgM, ELISA or rapid test of IgG or IgM. Antigen detection, NS1 and EM antigen. RNA detection by PCR and viral isolation. Primary infection. NS1, day 1 after the onset of the fever up to the day 9. IgM antibody, day 5 of the infection, sometimes as early as day 3. IgM levels peak in 2 weeks, followed by 2-week rapid decay. Undetectable 2 to 3 months after infection. Low levels of IgG are detected in early convulsion phase, not during the acute phase. NS1 antigen, day 1 after the onset of the fever up to day 9. IgM response is more varied, usually preceded by IgG and appears quite late during the febrile phase. Minority of the patient will show no detectable levels of IgM. May not be produced until 20 days after the onset of infection. High levels of IgG are detectable during the acute phase, persistent for 30 to 40 days, then decline to levels found in primary or past infection. CBC, there may be pancytopenia after the 3-4 days illness, neutropenia. Total blood counts may be less than 2,000, platelet counts may be below 1 lakh. Venous clotting, bleeding and prothrombin times and plasma fibrinogen levels, all other things are normal in dengue fevers. The most common hematological abnormality during dengue hemorrhagic fever and dengue shock syndrome are hemoconcentration. Increase in hematocrit more than 20%, thrombocytopenia, prolonged bleeding time, and moderately decreased prothrombin level that is seldom less than 40% of control. Fibrin split product values may be elevated. Other abnormalities, serum transaminase level may be moderate elevation, complement consumption C3 level may be decreased, metabolic acidosis with hyponatremia, occasionally hypochloremia, serum urea, nitrogen increase and hypoalbuminemia. Chest X-ray, the chest reveals pleural effusion more towards the right than the left in nearly all patients with the dengue shock syndrome. Here's the abdomen suggestive of ascites. Viral isolation should be done before 5 days of the illness. As virus is extremely heat sensitive, specimens should be reached the central laboratory at the temperature of 4 to 8 degrees. Results are available within 1 to 2 weeks. This procedure is expensive, can identify serotypes, but unable to distinguish between primary and secondary infection and reserved for research purpose only. Viral nucleic acid detection, expert technicians with proper quality control is important. Expensive equipment and expertise limits its availability. RT-PCR assay is usually done having a turnaround time of 1 to 2 days. Unable to distinguish between primary and secondary infections should be done in first day, 5 days of the onset of symptoms. This test is having sensitivity of 80 to 90% and specificity is more than 95%. Detection of virus antigen. NS1 is non-structural protein 1 is produced by all falcivirus. This is glycoprotein antigen detected in all patients with both primary and secondary dengue form, first day of symptoms up to 9 days and even at the time up to 18 days post onset of symptoms. This test can be done by ELISA or immunochromatography, where results are obtained in minutes. ELISA, due to its specificity, may be useful for differential diagnostics between falcivirus. Serological tests. IgM antibody are first to appear in about 50% of patients within 3 days 3 to 5 after onset of illness. IgM gradually increases to 99% by day 10. IgM antibodies are significantly lower after secondary infection. Undetectable levels over next 2 to 3 months. IgG detectable in the acute phase and rise dramatically in the next 2 weeks, persist for next 10 months to rest of life. Tourniquet tests. We have to inflate blood pressure cuff to a point midway between systolic and diastolic pressure for 5 minutes. If there is more than 20 petechias per centimeter square of per inch square of then test is positive. Prevention. Management. Prevention of mosquito bite by avoiding going out in hours when it is mosquitoes bites. Wear full light colored long sleeved clothing. Install mosquito nets to the doors and windows. Apply repellents over the exposed part of the body and close over 4 to 6 hours. Elimination of the mosquito is the most effective method to keep environment clean and to remove stagnant water so that mosquito can't breed. Remove stagnant water immediately if mosquitoes are found to be breeding. Use environmental friendly insecticides such as larvicidal oil if necessary. In cultivation ponds, water tanks or large containers, biological controls such as keeping fishes to eat mosquito larvae would be good option. Dengue case management. Hemodynamic parameters. We have to monitor hemodynamic parameters first: consciousness level, capillary refill time, extremities, peripheral pulse volume, heart rate, blood pressure, respiratory rate, and urine output. Stable circulation. If consciousness level is clear and normal, capillary refill time is less than 2 seconds, extremities are warm and pink, and good volume of peripheral pulse with a normal heart rate for age and normal blood pressure for the age, with a normal respiratory rate for the age, and urine output is normal, then patient is hemodynamically stable. If patient is having consciousness level is normal, but CRT is prolonged more than 2 seconds with a cool periphery, weak and thready pulses, with a tachycardia for age and normal systolic pressure but rising diastolic pressure or narrowing pulse pressure or postural hypotension and tachypnea for age, with a decreased urine output, there may be compensated shock. In hypotensive shock, patient is restless, CRT is very prolonged or skin may be mottled, extremities are very cold and clammy, peripheral volume pulses may be absent or very feeble, heart rate may have severe tachycardia or bradycardia in late shock, narrow pulse pressure with the hypotension with the maybe unrecordable blood pressure, and patient may having osmosis breathing or hyperapnea and anuria or oliguria in hypotensive shock. Dengue case management will start from the assessment. We have to ask about the history of nausea, vomiting, rash, aches and pain like headache, eye pain, muscle ache, joint ache, and we have to look for warning signs, tourniquet test and leukopenia. What are the warning signs? Severe abdominal pain or tenderness, persistent vomiting, mucosal bleed, liver enlargement more than 2 cm, clinical fluid accumulation, lethargy or restlessness, increase in hematocrit concentration with a rapid decrease in platelet sign. If there is no warning sign, patient is grouped as group A, in which we have to do outpatient management. For patient with the warning signs of severe dengue or coexisting conditions like pregnancy, infancy, diabetes or poor social situation or renal failure, then we have to do inpatient management. And for patient with any of plasma leakage with a shock or fluid accumulation with a respiratory distress or severe bleeding or severe organ impairment, then we have to do group C, which is categorized as red, and we have to do inpatient management. In outpatient management, during febrile phase and subsequent critical phase, we have to follow CBC, watch for dehydration. We have to watch for warning signs, including decreased platelet count and increasing hematocrit, and we have to watch for critical phase. Advise patient and or to their family to do the following. Control the fever with the acetaminophen, aminofen, give every 6 hours. Do not give ibuprofen or aspirin containing drugs. Sponge the patient's skin with the tepid, normal temperature water. Prevent dehydration, which occurs when person loses too much fluid, like from fever, vomiting or decreased oral intake. Give plenty of fluid, not only water, all other things, and watch for signs of dehydration. Prevent spread of dengue virus within the house by place patient under bed net. Have use of insect repellent and kill all mosquitoes in the house. Empty containers that carries water in it. Put screens or windows and doors to prevent mosquitoes from coming into house. Watch for warning signs. As temperature declines 3 to 8 days after symptoms begin, return immediately if any of the following warning signs appear, like severe abdominal pain, persistent vomiting, red spots or patches in the skin, bleeding from nose or gums, vomiting of blood, black tarry stools, drowsiness or irritability, pale or cold coming screen, and difficulty in breathing. Group B, inpatient management for dengue patients with a warning sign. Patient admitted to hospital. Monitor fluid intake, output and encourage oral fluid. Obtain baseline blood count and monitor vital signs every 4 hours or more frequently. When patient is having oral fluid intake and patient is consuming normal, then continue monitoring vital signs. Observe for any early signs of shock. Observe for warning signs and severe dengue. If patient is unable to continue take oral intake, then check hematocrit and give intravenous normal saline or ringal lactate. Give isotonic crystalloid in the stepwise manner, like 5 to 7 ml per kg per hour for 1 to 2 hours, and then 3 to 5 ml per kg per hour for 2 to 4 hours. Recheck hematocrit. Reassess the clinical status of the patient. If patient is clinically stable and has no or minimal change in hematocrit, then continue isotonic crystalloid at 2 to 3 ml per kg per hour for 2 to 4 hours. Then recheck hematocrit. Reassess clinical status of the patient. If adequate fluid intake or urine output is there, as hematocrit is decreased to baseline or slightly below the baseline but clinically stable, then reduce the isotonic crystalloid. But If there is worsening of vital sign and rapidly increasing hematocrit, we have to increase the crystalloid to 5 to 10 ml per kg per hour for 1 to 2 hours, and then we have to recheck the hematocrit, reassess the clinical status, and then if the patient is improving, then we have to reduce the crystallized solution stepwise manner by 5 to 10 ml per kg per hour for 1 to 2 hours, 3 to 5 ml per kg per hour for 2 to 4 hours, and gradually 2 to 3 ml per kg per hour for 2 to 4 hours. If patient develops compensated or hypotensive shock, then we have to go for plan C. Emergency management for dengue patient with a compensated shock. Patient admitted to hospital or intensive care unit for emergency treatment. Closely monitor the fluid and or intake or output. Obtain baseline hematocrit and organ function tests. Assess hemodynamic status and monitor vital signs every 1 to 2 hours. If patient is in compensated shock, closely monitor fluid intake and output. Reassess the clinical status. Has patient hemodynamic status is improved? If no, then we have to check the plan C. If hemodynamic status is improved, then we have to reduce fluid in stepwise manner, like 5 to 7 ml per kg for 2 to 4 hours, reassess clinical status. Improving, then we have to decrease 3 to 5 ml per kg per hour for 2 to 4 hours, and then recheck the hematocrit and clinical status. If continued to improve, then gradually decrease 2 to 3 ml per kg per hour for 2 to 4 hours, recheck hematocrit and reassess the clinical status. If adequate fluid intake and urine output are there, hematocrit at baseline or slightly below the baseline, then we have to discontinue the intravenous fluid. If hematocrit is increasing, then and patient is not improving, then we have to give crystalloid at 10 to 20 ml per kg bolus over 1 hour. Reassess the clinical status. If patient is improving, then reduce the crystalloid to 7 to 10 ml per kg per hour, and if continued to improvement, then we have to go to box B. But if there is no clinical improvement, and then we have to recheck the hematocrit and reassess the clinical status, and we have to follow the box C. If hematocrit is decreasing, then transfuse the blood 5 to 10 ml per kg packed cell volume or whole blood 10 to 20 ml per kg whole blood immediately, and then we have to go to box A. Now, group C, hypotensive shock management for the dengue patient. Patient admitted to intensive care unit with the hypotensive shock, then we have to obtain baseline hematocrit, organ function test, closely monitor fluid intake and output, assess hemodynamic status and monitor vital signs hourly. If patient is in hypotensive shock, give isotonic crystalloid or colloid bolus 20 ml per kg in 15 minutes. Reassess the clinical status. Has patient hemodynamic status is improved? If yes, then give isotonic crystalloid or colloid infusion at 10 to 10 ml per kg per hour over 1 hour. Reassess the clinical status. If patient is clinically improved, then we have to follow the box C. Box B, that is, we have to give intravenous fluids in stepwise manner while assessing the clinical status and hematocrit before each change, like 5 to 7 ml per kg per hour for 1 to 2 hours, 3 to 5 ml per kg per hour for 2 to 4 hours, 2 to 3 ml per kg per hour for 2 to 4 hours. If adequate fluid intake and urine output is there, SAT at baseline level and slightly below baseline level, then discontinue the intravenous fluid. If patient is not hemodynamically improved, then recheck the hematocrit. Is hematocrit is increasing or decreasing? Then, if increasing hematocrit give colloid 10 to 20 ml per kg bolus over half to 1 hour, reassess the clinical status. As clinical status is improved, then reduce the colloid 7 to 10 ml per kg per hour for 1 to 2 hours. Continued improvement, then we have to follow the box B. If no clinical improvement, recheck hematocrit status and then go for box C. If patient hemodynamic status is not improving, then we have to check if hematocrit is increasing or decreasing. If hematocrit is decreasing, transfuse 5 to 10 ml per kg PCV or 10 to 20 ml per kg whole blood immediately, and then we have to follow the box A. Compensated shock. Systolic pressure maintained plus signs of reduced perfusion. Start isotonic crystalloid 10 to 20 ml per kg per hour for 1 hour. If improvement, then IV crystalloid reduce gradually 10 ml per kg per hour for 1 to 2 hours, 7 ml per kg per hour for 2 hours, 5 ml per kg per hour for 4 hours, 3 ml per kg per hour. As clinical improvement is noted, reduce fluid accordingly. Further boluses may be needed for 24 to 48 hours. Stop fluids at 48 hours. If after starting crystalloid solution 10 to 20 ml per kg per hour for 1 hour, no improvement, we have to check for hematocrit. If hematocrit is high, then we have to give second bolus of 10 to 20 ml per kg for 1 hour. If there is improvement, then we have to go for 7 to 10 ml per kg per hour for 1 to 2 hours. Gradually decrease to 7, 5 and 3. If hematocrit is decreasing, severe overbleeding are there, then we have to urgently transfuse the blood. And if there is no bleeding, colloid 10 to 20 ml per kg per hour, and evaluate to consider the blood transfusion if there is no clinical improvement.